A legal expert believes it is likely that at the conclusion of this entire fraud trial against the failed former president Donald Trump, who is a civilly liable rapist that has been indicted criminally 4 times, that Trump's properties are going to be auctioned off. This is a very interesting take. Newsweek reports, attorney says Donald Trump's properties will likely be auctioned off. New York's former assistant attorney general has said that Trump's properties will likely be liquidated and sold off at auction after a judge found he committed fraud. This would be an incredible end to some of these business endeavors. The article continues, Tristan Snell was speaking after a court found that the former president massively inflated the value of some properties and ordered that some Trump companies involved be stripped of their corporate licenses. It's one part of Trump's ongoing civil fraud trial. Snell said to MSNBC, quote, the worst outcome that could have come from this case has already been handed down, and that is for the corporate licenses to be canceled. The properties are likely going to be liquidated. The properties are probably going to be sold at auction. That's probably what is going to happen. We don't know that for sure, but that is probably where this is headed. So Trump is already really, really in trouble. Snell said it's also important to remember Trump already lost, despite his protestations of innocence. Judge Arthur Engoron ruled last week that Trump, his adult sons, the Trump Org, and other businesses associated with Trump overvalued several properties, including Mar-a-Lago and Trump's triplex. I heard someone call it a triplex. I always thought it was triplex in Manhattan at Trump Tower for financial gain. Well, listen, Trump is insisting over the last week, Trump has insisted that Mar-a-Lago is worth 500 million, a billion, 1.5 billion. And most recently, he said it's worth 100 times the 18 million, meaning 1.8 billion. We may soon find out, at least at rock bottom auction pricing, what Mar-a-Lago is actually worth. Now, I think there are a couple important things to say here. The individual making this prediction about Trump's properties being auctioned off has nothing to do with this trial whatsoever. And it is merely a hypothetical. I think it is likely that this will happen. Is it actually going to happen, or will it be prescribed, but then it will be negotiated to something else? What if we transfer ownership to other individuals I designate other than Eric and Don Jr., who I believe are the other defendants in this lawsuit? It's completely plausible that Trump would be ordered to auction these off, but then there would be some kind of negotiation that goes in a different direction. The big takeaway from all of this that we are all coming away with, if we're paying attention, is that getting involved in politics, winning the presidential election in 2016, and then unleashing every worst business instinct that Trump had for decades onto the political world, where people are paying much more attention, was probably the worst decision Trump made in his life. The worst personal decision and the worst business decision, and probably the worst family decision as well, if the reporting about what's going on with he and his wife is to be believed. And our instinct that may have been the case started to build in 2017, in 2018, and so on. And it has only grown since then. I'm currently reading Selwyn Rabb's 800-page epic about the 5 families, the 5 mafia families from Italy that became the prominent families in the New York mafia. And one of the things that you see is that the more successful mafiosi fly below the radar. They don't try to get in the spotlight. They don't try to show up and testify anywhere. They don't scream in media. They want to be as quiet as possible. And it seems as though Trump did the opposite by becoming president of the United States. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. The number of data breaches we see is growing every year, up 41% from 2021 to 2022. And the likelihood of your data getting breached is constantly rising. Hundreds of commercial databases and people searching sites that hold your personal information. They can have name, social security number, login credentials, home address, location history, internet history, a whole bunch more. And you don't even know that it is happening. But our sponsor, Incogni, is the app and website that will take care of this for you. You create an account, you give them the right to go to work for you, you sit back, and Incogni has the data broker sites remove your personal information from their databases. Incogni keeps you updated on the status of everything. They handle the objections that can come up. This is often the reason that people get robocalls, because their information is on one of these sites that Incogni will take you off of. Scammers will use the info to commit fraud against you. So Incogni simplifies everything, gets the information taken down, and you get some peace of mind. The first 100 people to use the code Pacman will get 60% off when you go to incogni.com/Pacman. That's incogni.com/Pacman. Use code Pacman for 60% off. The info is in the podcast notes.